Ladies, I just watched the fashion coverage from Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, and while the birthday girl herself looked absolutely stunning, some of her guests made dress choices that every woman over 50 needs to see as cautionary tales. These aren't just fashion fails, they're masterclasses in what not to wear when you want to look sophisticated and age appropriate at formal events. Dress disaster. Number 1. Martha Stewart's Disney theme confusion. Now, I love Martha Stewart. She's usually a style icon. But this night, she made a dress choice that fashion critics described as Disney-themed, not Bond-themed. Her gold and green sequined dress was fighting itself for attention, creating visual chaos instead of elegant glamour. The combination of colors and patterns looked more appropriate for a theme park than a sophisticated spy-themed celebration. This is what I call sparkle without strategy taken to the extreme. The dress had so many competing elements, different shades of gold, green accents, varying textures of sequins, that it created a busy, overwhelming look rather than elegant glamour. When you're over 50, sparkle should enhance your natural radiance, not compete with it or create visual confusion. Here's how Martha could have been absolutely stunning. Take one element of that sparkle, maybe the gold sequins, and make it the star of a much simpler dress. A sleek gold sequin top with elegant black pants, or a simple dress with strategic gold beading. The Bond theme called for casino glamour, not carnival chaos. But let me tell you something about Martha's mistake that's particularly relevant for women over 50. Sometimes when we're used to being the center of attention or having a strong personal brand, we can overcompensate at formal events by trying to make too much of a statement. Martha is known for her bold, confident style. But this dress took that confidence too far into overwhelming territory. The lesson for mature women is crucial. When working with sparkle and bold colors, less is always more. Choose one statement element and let everything else support it. Quality sparkle in a simple, elegant design will always look more sophisticated than multiple competing elements fighting for attention. Think about how Helen Mirren approaches sparkle. Always strategic, always elegant, always enhancing, rather than overwhelming. The key is understanding that sophistication comes from restraint, not from maximalism. Dress disaster. Number 2. Priscilla Chan's leather bondage confusion. Priscilla arrived in an all-leather dress that fashion critics described as having bondage vibes, not Bond vibes. The dress was covered in unnecessary details, multiple pockets, jacket-like elements, and hardware that made it look more like fetish wear than elegant evening attire. One critic even compared it to expensive rainwear, which tells you everything you need to know about how this look translated. The fundamental problem was a complete misunderstanding of how to make leather elegant and appropriate. Leather can be incredibly sophisticated when done right. Think of a sleek leather sheath dress or an elegant leather jacket over a beautiful dress, but this look took leather in the completely wrong direction, adding so many utilitarian and aggressive details that it lost all elegance and femininity. Here's how to do leather elegantly after 50. Choose pieces with clean lines and minimal hardware. A simple leather dress in a classic silhouette. The key is letting the luxury of the material speak for itself. Rather than overwhelming it with unnecessary details, leather should add sophistication and edge, not confusion and aggression. What's particularly important to understand about leather for mature women is that the quality becomes absolutely critical. Cheap leather looks obviously cheap and can appear costume-like, while beautiful, supple leather can be incredibly luxurious and sophisticated. Priscilla's dress appeared to be good quality leather, but the styling and details completely overwhelmed the elegance of the material. The lesson here is about understanding the difference between edgy and inappropriate. There's a way to incorporate unconventional materials like leather into formal wear, but it requires restraint and excellent styling. Think about how someone like Michelle Pfeiffer might wear leather to a formal event. Always elegant, always sophisticated, never overwhelming or aggressive. The key is balance. Let the leather be the statement, and keep everything else refined and elegant. And if you're already taking mental notes about these dress disasters, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting to the ones that really made me question what these stylists were thinking. Dress disaster number 3. Kourtney Kardashian's trash bag chic. Kourtney showed up in what I can only describe as the most unflattering black dress I've seen at a formal event. This wasn't elegant draping. This was a shapeless disaster, with random ruching and messy fabric manipulation that completely swallowed her figure. The dress had so much unnecessary fabric and chaotic detailing that it looked like she was wearing a garbage bag that someone had tried to make fashionable with random gathering. Here's what went catastrophically wrong. When you're over 50, structure becomes your best friend, not your enemy. Shapeless dresses don't hide imperfections. They create them where none existed. What Kourtney's dress did was eliminate any trace of her waistline, add bulk in all the wrong places, and create a silhouette that was both frumpy and confusing. The random ruching looked like the dress had been poorly altered or was the wrong size entirely. But here's how she could have been absolutely stunning instead. Take that same black color, perfect for the Bond theme, but choose a dress with intentional structure. A wrap dress that defines the waist naturally. A fit and flare silhouette that skims the body beautifully. Or even a sleek sheath dress with strategic draping would have been infinitely more flattering. The key is purposeful design versus random fabric chaos. Now, let me tell you something that most women don't understand about fabric and draping after 50. The quality of the fabric becomes exponentially more important as we age. Cheap fabrics that might look acceptable on younger bodies start to look obviously inexpensive and unflattering on mature figures. Kourtney's dress appeared to be made from a fabric that didn't hold its shape well, which contributed to the overall sloppy appearance. For women over 50, the lesson is crystal clear. Elegant draping requires intention and structure. Think about how Cate Blanchett wears flowing dresses. There's always a defined waist, strategic placement of fabric, and a silhouette that enhances rather than hides. When you're trying on dresses, ask yourself, does this create a beautiful shape, or does it just cover my body? The difference is everything, and here's a practical tip. Always look at yourself from the side in the mirror. A dress might look acceptable from the front, but create an unflattering silhouette from the side, which is how most people will see you as you move through an event. Dress disaster. Number 4. Sia's Parka. Dress catastrophe. This was hands down the most shocking dress choice of the night. Sia arrived wearing what can only be described as a long black parka, masquerading as a dress, complete with a baseball cap and sunglasses. It looked like she had grabbed her winter coat on the way out the door and decided it was formal wear. For a James Bond-themed celebration calling for sophisticated elegance, this was the equivalent of showing up in pajamas. The psychology behind this disaster is fascinating and deeply problematic for women over 50. There's this misconception that effortless means no effort. But that's completely wrong. True effortless elegance requires tremendous thought and planning. You want to look polished without appearing to have struggled. What Sia did was demonstrate actual lack of effort, which reads as disrespectful to the occasion and the host. Here's how she could have maintained her mysterious avant-garde aesthetic while still honoring the event. A sleek black midi dress with interesting architectural details, clean lines that nod to her artistic sensibility, but still read as elegant. Add statement. Silver jewelry that catches light as she moves, creating intrigue without looking like she rolled out of bed. Keep the sunglasses if that's her signature, but make them elegant cat-eye frames that complement sophistication rather than hiding from it. But let me share something crucial about personal style evolution that Sia's mistake illustrates perfectly. As we age, our signature looks need to mature with us. What reads as quirky and artistic at 30 can read as sloppy and disrespectful at 50 if we don't elevate it appropriately. This doesn't mean abandoning your aesthetic. It means finding more sophisticated ways to express it. The lesson for mature women is crucial. Your personal style can and should evolve with the occasion. You don't have to abandon your aesthetic, but you do need to elevate it appropriately. Think about how Tilda Swinton approaches red carpet events. Always interesting, always unexpected, but never sloppy or disrespectful to the formality of the moment. She maintains her avant-garde sensibility while still honoring the sophistication required by formal events. Dress disaster. Number 5. Teyana Taylor's deconstructed suit disaster. Teyana showed up in what fashion critics described as a black deconstructed suit that looked like a crop top and jeans. This wasn't sophisticated Bond girl elegance. This was concert outfit energy at a formal celebration. The dress had all the elements of a suit, but none of the structure or sophistication, creating a look that was both confusing and completely inappropriate for the occasion. What made this particularly problematic was the complete misunderstanding of the dress code. The party called for sexy, sleek, sophisticated, dapper, and black, and while Teyana hit the black part, she missed every other element. The deconstructed nature of the dress made it look unfinished and casual, like she was wearing separates that didn't quite work together, rather than a cohesive, formal look. Here's how she could have nailed the sophisticated suit-inspired look: a sleek black jumpsuit with elegant tailoring, or a structured dress with suit-inspired details like sharp lapels or interesting seaming. The key is maintaining the sophistication and structure that makes suiting elegant. The problem with deconstructed fashion for mature women is that it often reads as unfinished or sloppy, rather than avant-garde. When you're over 50, people expect a certain level of polish and intentionality in your clothing choices. Deconstructed elements can work, but they need to be balanced with enough structure and sophistication to maintain elegance. For women over 50, this is a crucial lesson about interpreting trends appropriately. Deconstructed fashion can work in casual settings, but formal events require structure and intention. When you're choosing suit-inspired pieces, look for clean lines, quality tailoring, and details that enhance rather than confuse the silhouette. Think about how someone like Diane Keaton approaches suit dressing: always structured, always elegant, always appropriate for the occasion. The key is taking the essence of the trend and elevating it to match the formality of the event. Dress disaster number 6. Yris Palmer's see-through confusion. Yris wore an all-black see-through dress with geometric panels that looked more like an architectural experiment than elegant evening wear. While I appreciate the attempt at being fashion-forward, this was trying too hard to be edgy at an event that called for sophisticated glamour. The dress had so many competing geometric elements and transparent sections that it created visual chaos rather than elegant intrigue. The fundamental problem with this dress wasn't the sheer fabric itself. Sheer can be incredibly elegant when done right. The issue was the execution and the overwhelming nature of the design. When you're over 50, sheer elements need to be strategic and sophisticated, not dominating and obvious. This dress had sheer panels everywhere, creating a busy, confusing silhouette that looked more appropriate for an art gallery opening than a milestone birthday celebration. Here's how to do sheer elegantly after 50. Start with a beautiful, solid base. Maybe a sleek black dress. Then add sheer elements strategically. Delicate lace sleeves that show just hints of skin. A subtle sheer panel at the neckline that creates intrigue, or mesh details that add texture without being obvious. The key is that sheer elements should enhance the overall elegance, not dominate the entire look. What most women don't understand about sheer fabrics is that they require perfect undergarments and impeccable fit to look sophisticated rather than cheap. Yris's dress appeared to have multiple layers of sheer fabric that created confusion rather than elegance. When working with sheer elements, the construction and layering become absolutely critical. One wrong move, and you go from mysterious to messy. For the Bond theme specifically, imagine a sophisticated black dress with delicate sheer sleeves and subtle beading. Mysterious and elegant, like a sophisticated spy. The lesson here is that being fashion-forward doesn't mean abandoning appropriateness. It means finding innovative ways to be elegant within the context of the occasion. Quality sheer fabrics like beautiful lace or elegant chiffon can add incredible sophistication, but only when used with restraint and intention. Now, let me tell you about the broader patterns I'm seeing in these dress disasters, because understanding the underlying mistakes is just as important as seeing the specific examples. Dress disaster number 7. Multiple guests' theme interpretation failures. What was particularly shocking about this event was how many guests completely ignored the clearly stated dress code. The invitation called for sexy, sleek, sophisticated, dapper, and black, with a James Bond theme. Yet multiple attendees showed up in dresses that missed every single element of that directive. Some wore casual day dresses, others chose busy patterns when sleek was requested, and many completely ignored the sophisticated spy aesthetic. This represents a fundamental misunderstanding of how to approach themed formal events. The theme isn't a suggestion, it's a roadmap for creating an appropriate and respectful look. When you ignore a clearly stated dress code, especially for a milestone celebration, you're not just making a fashion mistake. You're showing a lack of respect for the host and the occasion. Here's how to approach themed events successfully. Start with the key words from the dress code and build your look around them. For this Bond theme, sleek means clean lines and minimal fuss. Sophisticated means elevated and polished. Sexy means alluring without being obvious. And dapper suggests classic elegance with a modern twist. Every element of your outfit should support these concepts. What I found particularly interesting was how the guests who succeeded with the theme managed to interpret it through their personal style while still honoring every element of the dress code. They understood that themed events are about finding the intersection between the requested aesthetic and your own personal style, not about choosing one or the other. The lesson for women over 50 is that understanding and honoring dress codes becomes even more important with age because it demonstrates sophistication and social awareness. It's not about following rules blindly. It's about showing that you understand the occasion and respect it enough to dress appropriately while still expressing your personal style. This kind of social intelligence becomes increasingly important as we mature, and our clothing choices are one of the primary ways we demonstrate it. Dress disaster. Number 8. Formal wear interpretation. Disasters. The final category of dress disasters was the complete misunderstanding of what formal evening wear means in the context of a milestone birthday celebration. Multiple guests showed up in dresses that might have been appropriate for casual dinners or daytime events, but completely missed the mark for elegant evening formal wear. This is a crucial distinction that many women struggle with: the difference between nice dress and formal evening appropriate dress. Formal evening wear requires a different level of sophistication, quality of fabric, attention to fit, and overall polish. It's not just about wearing a dress, it's about wearing a dress that honors the formality and importance of the occasion. Here's what formal evening wear should accomplish. It should make you feel elegant and appropriate for the occasion. It should photograph beautifully under evening lighting. It should be comfortable enough for a long event, and it should reflect the level of respect you have for the host and the celebration. This means quality fabrics, excellent fit, appropriate length and neckline, and styling that's polished from head to toe. The challenge for many women over 50 is that formal wear requirements have evolved significantly over the decades. What constituted formal wear in previous generations might not translate to contemporary formal events. The key is understanding current expectations while maintaining timeless elegance and age-appropriate sophistication. The lesson is about understanding the hierarchy of dress codes and rising to meet them appropriately. Formal evening events require a different approach than casual gatherings, and the most stylish women understand how to calibrate their choices to match the occasion perfectly. This includes understanding how different fabrics, colors, and silhouettes read under evening lighting and in formal settings. But here's what I want every woman over 50 to understand about these dress disasters. Every single one of these women has the potential to be absolutely stunning. The problem wasn't their age, their bodies, or even their personal style. It was their approach to dressing for the specific occasion and their understanding of what creates true elegance in formal settings. Let me share the 3 principles that would have transformed every single one of these dress disasters. First, understand that sophistication means intentional. Every choice should have a purpose and contribute to your overall story. Second, honor the occasion while staying true to yourself. You can maintain your personal style while still respecting the dress code and the formality of the event. Third, remember that confidence is your most powerful accessory, but it needs to be supported by choices that are genuinely appropriate for the moment. Now, let me tell you about the women who absolutely nailed their dress choices that night, because understanding what works is just as important as understanding what doesn't. Kris Jenner herself was the perfect example of formal dress perfection. She wore an archival Givenchy gown that was sophisticated, celebratory, and perfectly appropriate for both the Bond theme and the milestone nature of the celebration. What made Kris's dress choice so successful was the attention to every detail. The dress fit her perfectly. The style was timeless, yet contemporary. The color and fabric were appropriate for evening formal wear, and the overall effect was both elegant and joyful. She looked like a woman celebrating a major milestone with grace, sophistication, and appropriate glamour. The women who truly succeeded with their dress choices understood that elegance after 50 is about enhancement, not disguise or desperation. It's about choosing dresses that work with your body, your lifestyle, and your personality to create a look that's both sophisticated and authentically you. They understood that the goal isn't to look 25 again. It's to look like the best, most confident, most elegant version of yourself. These dress disasters create visual chemistry that makes you absolutely forgettable instead of magnetic. When you understand how to avoid these pitfalls, you're creating an experience people can't forget for all the right reasons. Which dress disaster surprised you most? Check out one of the 2 videos on your screen next.